The trial of Richard Allen is coming up fairly soon. He's, of course, a man accused of being the Delphi murderer. We've talked endlessly about this case, and we've talked endlessly about Odinism and third party culprits and all the possibilities that could exist here. And Richard Allen could very well be the culprit. We just don't know yet. That's why we're going to have a trial. But what we have learned in the last week is Judge Gull, as she typically does, denies everything that the defense throws their way. And this is a big one. This is the Odinism cult-related evidence, third-party suspect. And there are third-party legitimate people here that should probably be examined. Well, that's not going to go into the trial. Surprise, surprise. Joining me to discuss, Bob Motta, defense attorney, host of the podcast Defense Diaries. How is this going to impact Richard Allen's trial?
I mean, it's got all the earmarks of a railroad job with the one kind of intangible is that, I mean, maybe he's the guy,
Maybe,
but
yeah.
it's like maybe he is the dude, but why are we railroading him? Why can't we have an honest process where, look, this whole argument that there's no nexus, and the nexus has to be created with, or it has to be shown with admissible evidence. It can't be hearsay, speculation, and all those kind of things. Like maybe I'm just blind. Maybe it's because I'm a defense attorney. I see nexuses with the individuals that they named all over the place.
Everything.
It seems to me what Gull is saying is that they essentially have to solve the crime with just stone cold definitive evidence in order to bring the defense. So they essentially have to say, okay, yeah, even though the cops couldn't do it, we, the defense attorneys and our investigator, were able to place two of these individuals at the bridge that day. That's just not how that works.
Mm-hmm.
If they had that type of evidence, those dudes would be under arrest.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, do you understand what I'm saying? It's like you're like a third party culprit thing. The nexus isn't, oh, you have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that they did it in order to bring it up. That's not what a nexus is.
No.
Like people are conflating what a nexus is, and it's driving me nuts. You look at, like, even if they had gone the way that Judge Bev did, like in that case, she was not going to allow them to present it as their defense during their case in chief. What she said is, I'm going to allow you to develop it through cross-examination during the state's case in chief, when they put people on the stand. Mm-hmm. And then we'll take it as it comes. If I start to see that there's a nexus there. And like for her just to shut it down, like completely, like I've said it on my own channel and I'm going to say it on this channel, short of the 61 confessions turning out to be so powerful and so filled with facts that only the killer could know. Short of that, where that outweighs the fact that she's violated his constitutional right to put on a defense, it's that bare bones. Mm-hmm. Like she's not allowing him to put on a defense.
Yeah.
Short of that, he's going to get a new trial.
Yeah.
If he's convicted. Like the only thing that will outweigh it is if the appellate court looks at it and like, all right, well, we get it. We get that he should have been allowed to bring these other individuals into the mix. The defense should have been able to do it. Maybe they are involved. Maybe they're somehow in cahoots with him. But we feel very comfortable about the result that the jury came back with, mm-hmm. because of these confessions.
Yeah.
Because he said things that only the killer could know. So like that's really going to be the only way that, in my estimation, that they're going to avoid a retrial on this thing because of this decision. And it's not just the Odinism and, the individuals they name that they believe are Odinists, but it's like, it's Ron Logan, can't bring him up.
Yeah.
Who I always thought was a very powerful suspect still,
yes,
to this day, who's dead. I mean, like, if you're the defense, blame the dead guy. He's not here to defend himself.
Yeah.
Like, they found girls on his property. He lied about his alibi. They thought enough of him as a suspect that they got a search warrant on his house. I mean, the guy The guy has warts. He has a violent past.
Yeah.
He's like, you know, I mean, there's the things like the Kagan Klein and Tony Klein, the two Anthony Shots guy who,
Mhm.
you know, says this crazy shit that they were out there with his, you know, him and his father were driving a red Jeep, like down on Ron Logan's property, and that his father got out of the car and came back bloodied with a knife, and that they threw the knife and the phone in the river. It's like
Yeah.
he's coming up with this shit. It's like
There's a lot of shit there that's like, oh, well, that doesn't mean anything. It means a
there's a lot of
lot.
shit there.
It means a
There's a
lot.
lot of shit there.
And and I
And
don't
the
know.
question becomes, how do you defend them, right?
Yeah.
Now that she's aced all that, and I've been saying it for 2 months. I'm like, but before I get there, the other thing that no one's talking about, which everyone should be talking about, is the fact that she denied them to be able to bring in the geofencing data. So if you know anything about the case, you know that they got discovery that showed that there was geofencing data that came in that showed that there were 3 or 4 people on or around where the girls were found at or around the time that the girls were thought to have been killed by the state.
Mhm.
And she has now said that I'm excluding that. You can't bring in the geofencing data. I have no idea why or how she came to that conclusion
Is she an
because
Odinist? Is she like the Queen
I don't
Odinist or
I
something?
don't know, dude. Like I have no idea, man. Like all I can say is like at least with the Odinism angle and those third party culprits, like she used some semblance of the law as to why she denied it, claiming that there wasn't a nexus that was sufficient that could be proven with admissible evidence at trial. Like this, so at least she hung her hat on that. Like at
Mhm.
least she's got some law
Yeah.
in terms of that decision there. She didn't cite any cases. You know, she didn't rely on any actual precedent. She just made a kind of a like a bold proclamation that finding that there's no nexus and blah blah blah
Yeah.
blah blah. With the geofencing thing, she just flat out denies it.
Mhm.
Just considers it one of the numbers 9 through 12 and says I'm denying it. Doesn't really give a basis in the law for why she's doing it. I was at the hearings. There was no expert put on by the state saying that this is unreliable, that this is forensically unreliable, scientifically
Mhm.
unreliable, that you know that the area which can be encompassed with a geofence is so massive that because that was the only argument that was made by McClellan at the hearing. The prosecutor, he says, "Oh well, we don't trust the geofencing. We don't even use that in our warrants because it's so unreliable. It could be anywhere from 5 yards to 250. It could incorporate the entire town of Delphi. You can't trust that." So, but everything that I know about geofencing is that's absolutely incorrect. Like
Yeah.
geofencing was created by Google as a is literally a way to advertise for businesses if you were entering into like a geofenced area.
Yeah.
Say, for instance, you're in the mall and you're walking by a store that has said, "Hey, Google, whenever somebody in the mall walks by our store, when they're looking at their phone, we want an ad for a 20% coupon to pop up.
Yep.
Hey, come on in." So that's what geofencing. It came out as initially as a money making thing,
Mhm.
and then law enforcement is like, "Wow, this is pretty handy." So a majority of the time, it's law enforcement or prosecutors that are seeking to have the geofencing put in. It's the defense attorneys that are seeking to have it kept out.
Mhm.
It's very unusual that it's a prosecutor's office that's saying, no, 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 we don't want that in. And it's the defense saying that we do want it in. It's
Because it doesn't work for them. If it doesn't work for them, then they're seeming they are very much cherry picking this whole damn case on how they
unbelievable.
want to do it. And I don't know if it's Odinism that gets people hung up on the similarities, because we have some of it where you have literally on some of these people's Facebook pages, some of the guards and whatnot, flat out Odinist shit. I mean, take Odinism out of it. Let's say they were a crazy fan of 80s music and Michael Jackson, and all over their Facebook page is Michael Jackson shit. And then at the crime scene, there's the Thriller album. And you're like,
Right.
who's into Michael Jackson? I
Right.
wonder, it's like, oh, well, this person clearly is. Like, let's not look at them at all. That it's a really a weird thing that the Thriller album is there and they happen to have it all over their house and that album's just not there anymore. Like, it's just It's insane. It's just utter ignorance unless this is being steered for some greater good in their mind. And it's either there's irrefutable evidence that they have that they're going to bring into court, or they're covering something up. And is it somebody else they're covering up, or is it just keeping on covering up police incompetency and a bad investigation? And now it looks like you're covering for something, but you're just covering up for being a dumbass.
Look, I mean, that's what we have to wait to trial to see,
Yeah.
right? It's whatever the investigation was, whatever warts there are, that's going to be what the defense has to rely on now.
Yeah.
Like that's you attack the integrity of the investigation, and in my estimation, you attack the timeline. It's like everybody has just assumed that this timeline from 2:30 to 3:30, which is what they're locked into now,
Hmm.
because they said it on the record, like Holman testified to it in court on the stand, said it's our belief that the girls were killed between 2:30 and 3:30 on the 13th of February of 2017. That's it. That's their time frame. So like, and everybody's just assuming because this video exists of Bridge Guy,
Hmm.
and it's around that time that the girls died immediately thereafter.
Hmm.
But that's based on nothing
Yeah.
other than that video.
Well, just
Like,
like they're it's like they're
I
basing
mean,
their
what
opinion
came
on geofencing. It's like, well, he said this is not accurate. Well, he's wrong.
right.
He's just wrong. I don't care what you say. If it's wrong, it's wrong.
Wrong. It's wrong. And like, I mean, what's going to come out and what did come out at the hearings is that all the things that medical examiners use in order to determine a time of death were not done. Like the bodies of the girls' temperatures were not, the body temperatures were not taken. The ME established no time of death. So like these are just like gaping holes. I mean, it seems to me that it's going to become very, very critical to look at the stomach contents.
Mhm.
Like the stomach contents are going to really go a long way in terms of telling the tale as to when the girls might have met their demise. Because the other thing, which as far as I know is still in, which is the phone, Libby's phone, that somehow inexplicably links back up to one of the towers at 4:33 a.m.
Mhm.
and a whole bunch of 15 text messages from people looking for her start flooding in 11 hours after the last text message either came in or went out.
Yeah.
So, and we know that AT&T was pinging the phone every 15 minutes. To me, somebody has to explain to me, like I'm 5 years old, how that phone could have been in that area for 11 hours and didn't connect to the tower one time
Mhm.
in 11 hours, but for it was shut off
Yeah.
or it wasn't there at all.
Mhm.
Because it's like I'm not buying it.
Yeah.
I'm not, and again, like you've got this thing, like if they didn't have these confessions, I'd be losing my mind right now.
It's all they have.
You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like, and again, like how much the defense is going to be able to get into the conditions of his confinement in his mental state, because they all really take place during this 3-month period after he's 7 months in solitary
Yeah.
and eating his own shit. He's literally running into cinder block walls with his head first. The dude's like it's the kind of shit where you're not malingering.
Yeah.
Like you can malinger in a lot of different ways without having to eat your own feces.
Mhm.
No, without like you can act crazy in a lot of different ways. And like it's just one of those things where again, we've got to hear the content. We have to hear the content of what he's saying.
Mhm.
Like that, like to have some facts about the crime scene when he's 7 months into custody and his lawyers have talked to him. And I think that they've delivered discovery to him. So he could have been taking a look at it. It's not the same as a guy who is being interrogated initially after being arrested and he gives information that only the killer would know, and he has no other way to know it other than he was there.
Mhm.
Like there are other ways that Rick Allen could have known what had happened, especially because he's had his attorneys talking about the case with him. they've dropped off considerable amounts of discovery. Maybe he's taking a peek. So it's like, it's just
Yeah.
you want to be able to trust the verdict. Like for the families, man, we just want the truth.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the system itself is, in my opinion, they are destroying it for this family because they're not going to get it here. They're going to go through all this that we've already done, and at the end of the day, if he's convicted, he's going to get another trial.
I
And
know. And if he's the guy, Tony, I want to feel confident
sure,
that he's the guy based on just powerful evidence
yeah,
that he did it, not some railroad job.
yeah.
I don't know,
You,
man.
you
It's
have to
like,
play with all the cards in the deck, and Judge Gull has pretty much took everything out except her aces.
yep.
And it's like, there's 5 cards. That's not how you play cards. It is now, and that's how we're going to play this. And at the end of the day, someone's going to have to step in and go, "I'm sorry, there wasn't a full deck you were playing with here."
And the worst part is it's going to be all under cover of darkness.
Yep.
They allow cameras in Indiana, but she is refusing to allow that trial to be streamed. But I'll be there, boots on the ground, man. So when
Yes.
when we're doing our
Yep.
weeklies, I'll be able to give you some
Yeah. We'll be getting
insider
some.
baseball knowledge,
Yeah,
man.
that's going to be very fascinating to hear exactly what is happening in that room
Yep,
directly from you.
definitely.
Hey, thanks for checking out the video. Be sure to follow us wherever you download podcasts, and especially Apple Podcasts, where you can get advanced episode and premium content on our premium channel right there. Also, be sure to follow us on social media so you don't miss any breaking updates on the stories that matter to you most. We're on TikTok, X, Instagram, Facebook. Just search Hidden Killers Podcast with Tony Brueski, and you'll find us right there. Again, thanks for watching.